How's it going, folks? So a while back, I was going back and forth with somebody in a comment section on a video regarding firearms on yachts and what the rules were for that. And needless to say, recently I got a response from another person in this comment section. And I actually kind of want to bring this up because this is something I see quite commonly with gun controllers. So I'm going to start with a comment. So with throwing this stuff together, I realized that the comment picture was not going to go on the video editor, and I've tried fixing it every which way I could. So the easiest thing to do is just for me to add this. You guys pause the video for as long as you need to actually read the comment. But here it is. Okay, so let's start off with the first line. No, I'm not confusing causation and correlation. What I am doing, which you deliberately misrepresented with your response, is I am pointing out that you guys don't even have a correlation to begin with. You see, one of the tactics gun controllers love to do is they'll take these cherry-picked countries, which, by the way, are under U.S. military protection, either by treaty or by promise of the U.S., and I know that's irrelevant, however, but you'll take these cherry-picked countries and say, well, look, these guys have restrictive gun laws, and they have a lower homicide rate than the U.S. You'll ignore all the other data, by the way, and also you will ignore the historical data, which doesn't support your case either. But you'll take that cherry-picked data and say, we see these countries, restrictive gun laws, low homicide rate, U.S., high homicide rate. So, yeah, I'm calling out your side's not only correlation equal causation fallacy, but I'm also calling out the fact that you don't even have a correlation to begin with. But it's not uncommon for your side of the aisle to accuse my side of the aisle of doing the very same things your side of the aisle does. Take, for example, the second line, which, by the way, you don't even have a correlation there either. First off, there are impoverished areas with very low crime. And furthermore, impoverished areas are not necessarily urban. There are plenty of rural areas that are impoverished too. There was a rural area I lived in that was quite impoverished in Texas. Hell, neighbor got his single wide repoed. He still had his guns, but no home. Imagine how impoverished you have to be to get your single wide repoed. And guess what? Dude wasn't out raping people. He wasn't burglarizing homes. He wasn't robbing people, and he wasn't killing people. So, again, and by the way, that area was not a high crime area by any means. Hell, I have a place ways away from me, that I own. I've got a lot of stuff there. With that being said, I don't spend a lot of time there, but it's out in the middle of BFE. Also, not a very wealthy area. I mean, in fact, the median income there is well below national average. However, people aren't breaking into my place and stealing my shit. They're not breaking into each other's places and stealing their shit. So, no. Just because an area is impoverished doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a high crime area. So that's pretty false. Now, with that being said, moving on to your last line, because, again, another thing another example of your side doing the exact same thing you accuse us of doing. Um, Facts can't be ignored. Thing is, facts don't support your case when you really start looking at them. Cherry picked facts might, which your side very well does that quite a bit. Furthermore, our rights can't be ignored either. And your childish fantasies to live in a bubble wrapped world where the government acts as if they were your mommy and daddy and protects you from every little bad thing that happens to you, is also a fantasy. And by the way, you know, you accuse all of us of having cowboy fantasies or something like that, when in reality, it seems to be your side of the aisle that has all these fantasies that involve the government coming in and infringing on our rights. You know what? I can forgive the guy who walks into town with a 6-shooter on his hip just because he wants to live out a cowboy fantasy. He's not harming anybody. What's not forgivable is the fact that you guys want to infringe on other people's rights to have your fantasy bubble wrap world, which is not going to happen. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of one of your comment right here, because this is also not true, and it's the whole comment about legalized ubiquitous gun ownership has led to ridiculously high gun-related deaths in the U.S. No, it hasn't. Back in the days where we didn't have any gun laws at the national level, our homicide rates were really low. In fact, our homicide rates didn't really start picking up till like prohibition and all that other stuff. So, again, I'd say causation or correlation doesn't equal causation, except for the fact you don't even have a correlation. And if you look at our historical homicide rates and draw a line, every year a major firearms act was passed, you'll notice that you don't have a correlation there either. In fact, today, guess what? Our homicide rates ain't anywhere near the rates they were in the 1970s, back when you had the GCA of 68 that got passed. Back prior to all the shall issue and now permitless carry states. So, again, your claim doesn't hold water. Now, I understand talking with a lot of us that you're going to get a lot of us gun guys who don't really go and dissect the stuff you say like I do, and don't actually go and look a little deeper into the data like I do. However, deep down inside, these people own firearms. They understand the risk that come with not handling them properly. Yes, like anything, you don't handle something properly, you handle something in a manner that's unsafe, you're going to have an increased chance of somebody getting hurt or getting killed. Same is true with everything. Pools, automobiles, bicycles, motorbikes, ATVs, planes, electrical items, you name it, knives. But the thing is that unlike your side of the aisle, many of who don't own firearms, well, those of us who do own firearms more on my side of the aisle, that mystique, that propaganda is gone. We know it's an inanimate object. We know it's very safe to handle firearms, provided you follow the 4 cardinal rules and you're not doing anything else like really stupid, such as, sticking the gun barrel in mud and then just shooting it at random, obviously getting a muzzle obstruction or something like that. So, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up here. Guys, y'all have the comment section. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all take her easy out there and have a great day.